The other week, I had a client come into my office and he sat down and started to tell me about how great his morning was, sharing how on point his mindset was. He said, I go to the gym and I'm on the Stairmaster and I'm thinking about my affirmations and I'm praying. I even listened to a podcast with these inspiring sales affirmations, and I just feel so good. I'm so on point and I'm ready to tackle the day. And I was excited to hear about it. I'm like, yeah, this is great. Okay, fantastic. And then he shares with me, he's like, but something happens and I don't know what happens, but I get home and then all of a sudden I'm on my way to the office. And as I'm driving, my mood totally shifts. And I don't even know what's happened to me. Like, I didn't decide to think about these things, but I'm worried about numbers and financials and revenue targets and my employees and just anything at all that could possibly cause me stress is just coming into my mind and it's just ruminating and I'm circling the whole way to work. And as I'm driving to work and my mind is circulating all of these thoughts, I can feel myself getting anxious. Like the anxiety is increasing. I'm feeling a little bit more stressed, a little worried. So by the time I get to the office, I'm just in like a totally different mood. And it feels like it sticks with me all day long. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? It's like I feel like I have this angel and this devil, like one on each shoulder. Great morning, and then everything falls apart. And I asked him, I said, well, you did such a good job prompting yourself in the morning. You decided what you wanted to think. You got your morning mindset journal. You chose your affirmations, this sales podcast. You deliberately put all of this stuff inside of your mind. You prompted your mind with it, and you got this beautiful output of exactly what you wanted. So I'm curious, what did you prompt yourself with on the way to work? And he kind of looked at me like I was crazy. He was like, what do you mean? What did I prompt myself with? I'm like, well, like you chose this stuff in the morning. What did you choose on the way to work? And he said, nothing, I guess. It just came to me. And that, I said, is the problem. Because you see, we live in this world now where there's so much information out there. There is no shortage of someone pinging you, a DM coming through, a text message, an email, a Slack, news, social media, where your brain constantly has an opportunity to be prompted by something else besides you. Even the internal stresses or the worries that maybe in the back of your mind are there and just ready for your brain to grab onto at any time if it doesn't have something else to think about. And that's just kind of the way our brain works. It needs a direction. It needs a source of information. And this is why neuroprompting has become so important in this day and age. Because if we aren't prompting ourselves, the world is going to prompt you. I'll give you an example, actually. I want to pull something up here. I woke up this morning and I opened up my Whoop app, right? And I will tell you, let's see, 32% recovery. I'm showing you my Whoop stats in case you're just listening to this, but it's red, 32%. This right here, this is a prompt. I could have taken that information and it could have prompted my brain and then decided that I was tired, that I was not fully recovered, that I didn't have strength, I didn't have energy. Like it could have totally prompted me in a particular way, this information that I let in, if I hadn't decided what to feel about it instead. I saw that and I took it as data, but then I also decided I wanted to choose a different prompt. I didn't want that to be my prompt to dictate how I was going to feel, how my day was going to go. So I looked at it and I was like, huh, interesting. Okay, well, I guess I need to fuel up then, right? I'm going to have a strong workout. I'm going to be really focused and curious in my clients today. And I'm going to have this great podcast. And I chose everything that I wanted to believe about myself and my energy instead of allowing that prompt to guide me. That's the world that we live in. One, that we need the prompts, and two, how amazing that we have this opportunity. Because if you think about it, it's almost like AI. I know that you probably tune into Chat or Claude or whatever app you use out there for AI. But if you think about it, we go into these AI apps all the time and we put in a prompt and we get an output. And if you think back a couple months ago, whenever you first used it, your prompts were probably pretty weak, right? And you were kind of frustrated with the output that you got because it didn't really match what you wanted. And so you got better and better at being more specific about what that prompt looked like so that your outputs got better and better. And you started to like AI a little bit more. Guess what? We get to do the same thing with our head. We can prompt ourselves like that, just like we do AI. So as I received this information and I was like, no, don't want that prompt, I decided very specifically what I wanted to prompt my brain with. And therefore, that is what is unfolding for me. My client, once he got in the car for work, he could have decided, hey, I'm going to carry this positive momentum. I'm going to think about all the great things that we have going on at the company. I'm going to think about all the opportunities that are coming down the pipeline. I'm going to think about how amazing the people are that work for me. He could have prompted himself with those things and had a totally different outcome on his ride to work. And matter of fact, had a totally different day the whole rest of the day. So you see the power that we hold that not too many people are tapping into is this neural prompting. It's what I call it, neural prompting. We get to prompt our brain on what we want it to believe, what we want it to think, what we want it to focus on. It's how it works. You've all heard the example before of like the reticular activating system and talking about the red car and then seeing the red car, right? That's your reticular activating system. Once you've thought about something, it then filters down all this information to show you what is in alignment with what you thought about. Because we receive 11 million pieces of information on a second by second basis. We can't possibly think about 11 million pieces of information. So that reticular activating system filters it down based upon what you've prompted it with, based upon what you've decided to believe, decided to think. So if you thought about the red car, all of a sudden you see the red car. If I decided to believe I was energized and I was going to have a lot of energy and strength for today, guess what? My brain is going to show that to me. It's going to give me all the opportunities to do that, and it's going to align with it. But had I decided to take that external prompt and just let that red tell me something different, I would have 100% been shown how tired I was, how I needed extra coffee, how I couldn't wait to get through this day. I would have had a totally different day. Just like my client would have had a different day had he prompted on the way to work. So to me, this is such a game changer. And it's not new. We've talked about intentions before. We've talked about choosing our thoughts. So it's not new in the sense of like, wow, we can really do this. It's new in the sense that we have a new responsibility around it. Because we get so much stimuli, because there's no shortage of external prompts in your life, it has become more important now than ever before to prompt yourself. If we take it back years and years ago, back when I was like 20 years old, you're talking about over 30 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot that could prompt me, not nearly as much as today. Even if I go back to like my high school days, you didn't have the cell phones, you didn't have social apps, you didn't have access to everything, didn't have access to your capacity, I should say. And so there was a lot less prompting you back then. But now, think about it. You're prompted all the time. You might be prompted by an old story. You might be prompted by the news, prompted by somebody else's belief, prompted by something in your app, your fitness app, prompted by a market report. There's no shortage of prompts that are constantly coming at you. But if you choose your prompt instead, you don't become a victim of what's prompted you. You actually take back your power. You take back your autonomy and you start falling in line with exactly what you want, going in the direction of what you want. So that's your work. And it's not as hard as it seems. Some people will say to me like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. Even my client, when he sat in the office, he was like, wait a minute. So I'm supposed to think about what I want to think all the time and then tell myself to think about it. And I'm like, that sounds a little extreme, but you can think about the scene that you're entering into and what prompt you want to give it. But even more importantly, I would say if that sounds hard, what's harder? Prompting yourself in advance for what you want to create or dealing with the consequences of not prompting? Because in his case, he had this day and this cloud over him that was like, kind of annoyance, frustration, stress, worry. And by the time he came home, he was still carrying it and had to figure out how to shift and adapt because he wanted to spend time with his wife and his kid. So is that hard going through the day like that and dealing with that? Or is it hard to choose intentionally what you want to prompt yourself with? I would choose the proactive piece all day, every day, because one, it actually is less work up front. Proactive work is always less burdensome than reactive work. And plus, you shaping your day for exactly what you want. I mean, who doesn't want to choose what they want in their day? So I want to make it really easy for you. If you just think about your day, think about you as like a movie director and you moving throughout your day all day in like different scenes, maybe different chapters. And it's like, oh, well, when I wake up in the morning, that's a scene. And I could prompt myself for how I want my morning. Matter of fact, it's why I use the morning mindset journal. Has all the prompts and it allows me to prompt my brain for that moment, for that day. And then when I go to the gym, that's another scene. I could prompt myself for what I want at the gym. Matter of fact, I set an intention to have a strong workout every single time. And then when I get in the car, I could prompt myself. When I'm getting ready, I could prompt myself. If I don't prompt myself, I'll tell you, this is interesting. If I don't prompt myself when I get ready, it could take me twice as long to get ready because all of a sudden I'm looking at my phone in between a little makeup, a little email, blow dry, a text message. It could take me twice the amount of time to get ready because I didn't prompt myself with how I wanted that to happen. And I just let the world prompt me. Every ping, every email, everything that came to my mind was like, go here, do this, look at this. But instead, if I'm like, okay, we're going to get ready, we're not going to use the phone, we're going to focus, we're going to get ready in, 45 minutes and be ready to walk out the door. I've given my brain a prompt and it really wants to lean into what you ask it to do. That's cognitive congruence. So you giving your brain a prompt, that it generally is like, okay, let's make this happen because this is going to make everything make sense and it's going to feel good to execute on what you wanted. So your morning time getting ready could be another scene. Your drive to work could be a scene. When you walk into a meeting could be a scene. When you come home at the end of your day, that could be a new scene. So you're probably catching on here. You have all these scenes of your movie throughout your whole day. And every scene is an opportunity for you to prompt yourself on how you want to show up, what you want to believe, and what you want to think. My client that I shared with you that kind of lost his way on the way to work, he actually came in for his next session. He was like, that's helping so much. So now I think differently on the way to work and my head's so much better and I feel better at work. He's like, but I got a question for you. Because when I come home and I turn off, but all of a sudden I get a ping and somebody has a question. A client needs to look at some documents. A deal's possibly coming through. And he was like, I get pinged over here and I pick up my phone and all of a sudden I'm back into work and my head is so focused over here. And then I've lost my family time. I'm like, yeah, you were prompted externally, right? The phone pinged, somebody needed something from you, that was a prompt, and you turned to it. You let the world prompt you. And he's like, well, how do I fix it? I'm like, again, prompt yourself. You decide when you get home, do you look at your phone anymore? Do you turn it off? And if you do, what's the prompt to get back to what's most important? If you want to be able to switch back and be this present dad and have fun with your son, then you've got to reprompt yourself. So it makes it, again, sound like a lot of work, but it's the freedom of choice. And just about everybody I know, when we talk about values, they have freedom in there, whether it's time freedom, financial freedom, geography freedom, physical freedom. There's some form of freedom that people want in their lives. And prompting yourself gives you that freedom. It gives you the freedom to choose how you want to think, what you want to believe, and what you want to see around you. So your work for today, pick one scene, just one scene in your day that you now want to start prompting yourself for. Think of maybe the scene that tends to be most chaotic for you, the scene that you wish played out differently. And maybe it happens every single day. You're like, oh, my mornings are so chaotic, or dinner time is always a disaster, or once I come home from work, like pick that one scene that really needs your prompting most and decide, what prompt do you like to give your mind? How would you like it to think? What do you want it to feel? What do you want to come out of this particular scene? And choose it. Choose it every single day. Set an alarm on your phone if you need to remind yourself. hey, at this time, here's the prompt that I'm choosing. Because you will be surprised at how well it works. Your brain is ready for the instruction, it's hungry for your direction. All you have to do is prompt yourself. Now, hopefully, you're thinking of all the ways that you can use this and also thinking about other people who could use this too. So don't be stingy, don't save this message for yourself. I want you to forward this podcast episode on to the other people in your life who you know would benefit by prompting themselves, who could change the scenes in their life with just a simple prompt. And if you like the episode, like it, subscribe to it. It helps me get more content out there to you every single week. And until next time, protect your capacity and prompt yourself.